Merry Christmas, you filthy animals. What's going on, guys? I'm Chris. Welcome back to another video. So today I have a special Christmas video planned. I'm actually recording this on Christmas Eve, so I hope I don't disrupt Santa when he arrives later. But I'm going to be tier ranking every single Christmas movie I have seen. I have some special tiers. I didn't just throw out the regular fantastic, great, good, meh, bad. I have a little bit of a special tier that I'm doing today in honor of Christmas. So before I give you guys my tier ranking of all these Christmas movies that I've seen, and by the way, this video will be filled with some wildly hot takes, so just brace yourselves for that. Make sure to hit the like button, comment your favorite Christmas movies down below, and make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any future reviews, rankings, videos, end of the year lists, all that good stuff. But without further ado, let's get into this tier ranking. Peep Kevin McAllister in the back. So the new special Christmas tiers I have today are It's the Most Wonderful, Holly Jolly, Mary, Coal in Your Stocking, and I Wouldn't Touch You with a 39.5-foot pole. You should know where that reference is from. If not, shame on you. First up on the list is Frosty the Snowman, the animated classic that I've seen probably 10 plus times in my life. I mean, it was one that I watched every year for quite some time. I'm going to put this one in Mary. I think this is a good, little, cute animated special that's no harm, no foul. It's a timeless story. One that you can watch pretty much any time and not really be upset with it. It's like 25 minutes of your time. The music's catchy. The Frosty the Snowman jingle is one that I have on my car every single year. It's on my Christmas playlist, so gotta love it for that. It's solid. You can't go wrong with it. It's very merry, I would say. Staying in the ballpark of these animated kind of classic Rankin Bass shorts, I've got Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer had a very shiny nose, and if you ever saw it, you would even say it glows. An all-time classic this is, putting it in Mary too. Sorry to damage eardrums out there, but Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is a classic, just like Frosty the Snowman. I don't think these are like fantastic by any means, but again, they're just staples. They're very solid. They're good. 2 thumbs up for both of these. Next, we've got Jingle All the Way, a movie that I watched for the first time last year, and I know a lot of people are on the train for Jingle All the Way. They're like, oh, this is such a funny movie, and put the cookie down. Like, people love to quote it, and I get it's Arnold, but it's not my cup of tea, and watching it once was more than enough for me. Jingle All the Way is going in the bottom tier. I Wouldn't Touch You with a 39.5-foot pole. This movie is one I never want to revisit again. It's not a childhood classic of mine or one I grew up watching, so that kind of has a little bit of an influence as to why it's not any higher. But I thought the movie was just terrible, and I know people are like, oh, that's what makes it great is how bad it is, and I'm like, I can only say that about The Room and a few other movies. This is not one of them. Turbo Man and everything, it's just not what I grew up with. Had I grown up with it, it would probably be a little higher, but Jingle All the Way is not my thing. Some of these posters are cut off, by the way, so I apologize, but the next one is Arthur Christmas, one of the more under-the-radar Christmas movies of my life, I would say. I saw this one in theaters with some friends in the 6th grade, to date myself. There's a sweet message in this movie about Santa's son having to kind of step into the role. It's fun for the family. There's some really cool dynamic with the elves, and I like how they portray the North Pole. I like this movie. Honestly, I'm going to go Mary with it. I think it's very good. One that you guys should check out if you have not seen it. But it's a nice present under the tree. I wouldn't be mad, you know, if this was a stocking stuffer on Blu-ray, definitely give it a shot because it is a good Christmas movie. Next, we've got Santa Claus 3 Escape Clause. The nostalgia is real with this one. Like, this is a movie that I watched a lot growing up, and I would love to sing the North Pole, North Pole, just like New York, New York. And anytime I hear Sinatra's version of New York, New York, New York, my mind immediately goes to Santa Claus 3. So I think they did a good job with that. But this is obviously the worst of the Santa Claus movies. Like, objectively, there's not even really an argument to be made. It is very cheesy and out there. It's just the lesser of the 3, to be honest. I don't hate the movie. I actually think it's quite fun. And personally, I am actually going to go Holly Jolly with it, which might be shocking. Like, what? That's blasphemous. This movie's terrible. But to me, the nostalgia is real, and this is a Christmas video, so I'm going to let nostalgia take over here. It's a very cheesy movie that a lot of people don't like, and it's the lowest on a lot of people's rankings. It's my least favorite of the 3. But there's a lot of Christmas fun to be had, and it just makes me feel warm inside when I watch it. So I'm going Holly Jolly, and that might be a theme with a bunch of these Santa Claus movies. I just heard a car alarm outside, and it startled me significantly, but all is well. So next on this list is Deck the Halls, a movie that I watched for the first time last year as a part of the 100 Movies I Missed project. And again, not a fan of this movie. It was really stupid. Some of the humor was extremely awkward and made me just feel uncomfortable when I watched it. There's not even a lot to laugh at here. It's just a lot of that mean-spirited humor that doesn't really work for me. I'm going I Wouldn't Touch You with a 39.5-foot pole for Deck the Halls. The movie's really bad. Next, we have A Christmas Carol, which is the Jim Carrey version, the Disney animated one. I don't hate this movie. I've seen it once or twice. I like the Christmas Carol story. I think this does justice to it in a very creepy way. The animation style is very unsettling. But it's not one that I really love, so I'm gonna go Coal in Your Stocking with A Christmas Carol. It's not terrible, it's just not really my thing. Next we have The Polar Express, a movie that I think gets a lot of hate for some reason. Like, I grew up loving this one. I remember every year in elementary school we'd have hot chocolate and we'd watch it. I had the DVD. It's one that I watched like every year growing up, and I haven't rewatched it in a few years, and I feel like it's one of those movies now where the negative consensus online has kind of tainted my view of the movie, so I have to go back and rewatch it without any of that negative Twitter bias or any of that stuff. This happened with Far From Home recently. Like, I always liked Far From Home, and then everyone kind of crapping on it on Twitter, and I was like, maybe I don't like Spider-Man Far From Home that much. I rewatched it, and I was like, nope, this went up a lot on my MCU ranking, so that's probably the case with The Polar Express. I just got to give it another watch sometime soon. I'm going to go holly jolly with The Polar Express. This movie is a childhood classic. The nostalgia is real. I think it has a really powerful message about believing and all of that good stuff, especially with Santa Claus and life in general. Tom Hanks literally plays like 4 characters in this movie. I'm not complaining. I don't get the negative train for this one. Polar Express fans, comment down below, hashtag Polar Express. Next we have Charlie Brown Christmas, one of the originals, the GOATs, I would say, for the Christmas specials. The theme alone just, Christmas time is here.
You don't shut your mouth, I will kill you.
Gets me in the mood every year for Christmas, and I'm going It's the Most Wonderful with the Charlie Brown Christmas because it's just a classic that I watched every single year growing up, and it really does capture the true meaning of Christmas better than most Christmas specials or movies, so it's gotta be at the top tier. Next we have Christmas with the Cranks, a movie that I've seen once in theaters, so I barely remember it. I was kind of hesitant to put it on the list, but I gotta go, I wouldn't touch it with 39.5 foot pole because I barely remember the movie, but I remember not really being a big fan of it when I saw it in theaters as a kid. I think it has Tim Allen, so that's kind of a plus because he obviously plays Santa Claus, but I can't really go any higher than that just because I don't think I'd ever want to watch this again. If there was a lineup of Christmas movies, this would not be one I go to. Next, we've got the original Santa Claus movie that I always try and watch at least some of every single holiday season. Like, I watched about 30 minutes of it today, actually. This is an all-time classic. It's the best of the Santa Claus trilogy. It's a perfect Christmas movie to me, and for that reason, it's going in It's the Most Wonderful. Who would have thought Tim Allen plays Buzz Lightyear and Santa Claus, 2 icons in cinema? Next, we have Home Alone 2: Lost in New York, a damn good sequel that gets a lot of hate. Again, people are like, oh, it's so bad compared to Home Alone, and what I'll say is this. Is it copy and pasted the first Home Alone movie? Hell yeah, it is. Am I complaining? Hell no, I'm not, because this movie rocks. New York as a landscape just embodies Christmas to me, so it kind of takes it to another level. The antics at the end of this movie are so unbelievably hard to believe that it makes 0 sense, actually negative sense. There's legitimately a scene where Marv is getting electrocuted to death pretty much, and we see him turn into a skeleton for a brief second. It's just outlandish, but it's self-aware. Bricks are being thrown at people from the top of a roof that probably would have cost their brains to be all over the curb, but I'm not complaining because it's holiday fun for the whole family. I gotta go It's the Most Wonderful with Home Alone 2. I think I have like a letterbox review for this where I gave it like a 3.5 or 4. It's probably like a 5 out of 5 for me. I was a little stingy back then. It is damn near as good as the first Home Alone in my eyes. It's one of the best sequels ever, and Home Alone 1 and 2 were so magical, I feel like it's hard to recapture the greatness of those movies. Home Alone's next up, and it's no surprise this is also It's the Most Wonderful. It's my favorite Christmas movie of all time. I've said that multiple times. It's also one of my favorite movies of all time. Like, as a kid, I would take the DVD on long car rides and watch it in like June or May or really any random month of the year. It didn't matter to me. Just because the story is so well written and just captivating, it doesn't have to be watched around Christmas. It just so happens to be a Christmas movie as well. This is one of the funniest movies ever that's not like a pure comedy. At the same time, it warms your heart in the end, especially with Kevin McAllister's relationship with the old man and seeing him kind of grow a new appreciation for family throughout the movie. I got him in the background right there. This is arguably the most iconic Christmas movie of all time when it comes to just quotes. There's a few others on here the argument could be made for, one of them featuring a really steamy take from me, but Home Alone's the GOAT. Next we have Elf, a holiday film that I actually didn't watch for the first time till like high school, which is crazy. I'm just graduated college, if that gives you any indication. So I've been watching it for a few years now, but it's not one that I grew up with. However, I still really like this movie. It's one of those holiday staples that you have to watch some of every Christmas season. And Will Ferrell, it's one of his best roles, honestly, which is surprising because we know him for these hard R-rated comedies where he's doing all this raunchy stuff. But his most iconic and best role might actually be playing Buddy the Elf. I also think it's funny that Pennies from Heaven, the song that plays when he first goes to New York City, has now become synonymous with Christmas in my eyes, and it's literally on my Christmas music playlist, even though it's not inherently a Christmas song. But if you need to get in the Christmas spirit and you just want to get a pick-me-up, you got to throw on Elf. It's an all-timer, I'd say, and I'm going It's the Most Wonderful with Elf. The top tier, by the way, are like my go-to Christmas movies that if I had to watch them every year, these would be the ones I go to. Next, we have the Santa Claus 2, which I think is actually quite a step up from the Santa Claus 3, and damn near as good as the first, just because I love seeing the romance side of things. And my favorite scene in this movie is when Tim Allen's Santa Claus goes to the woman he's trying to date, who's the principal of his son's school, and there's like a teacher party for all the faculty, and he ends up instilling a lot of his Santa magic to like have everyone have these nostalgic moments where they play with childhood toys they never got and play all these fun games, and he turns around the vibes. It's really just magical, and the movie feels like a big warm hug whenever I watch it. It honestly might have the most heart out of all the Santa Claus films. I'm still gonna put it in Holly Jolly just because I don't think it's as good as the first Santa Claus movie, but it's almost there with me. It's almost on par with the first one. So next is Christmas Vacation. I know a lot of people have this at their #1 Christmas movie of all time. Again, this is another movie I didn't watch for the first time until recently. I think it was like 2019, I want to say. It's now 2021, of course. I like the movie. Don't get me wrong. I understand it's a classic for a lot of people, especially those who grew up with it. It has its funny moments. I think Cousin Eddie steals the show. A lot of the humor doesn't work for me, surprisingly. I don't know if I'm the biggest Chevy Chase fan. I get it's a classic. I don't know if I'm the biggest fan of the movie itself. So I'm going to go Mary with Christmas Vacation. I think it's a good movie. It's one that I didn't grow up with, so I don't have the nostalgic connection with it. But I totally get it's a classic for most people, and it would probably be in the top tier for a lot of you guys. So if it is, let me know in the comments down below. Next, we have A Nightmare Before Christmas, which is like a Halloween Christmas hybrid movie. I'm not the biggest fan of Tim Burton, and I know that he's produced this movie. He didn't actually direct the movie. That's a common misconception, actually. His name's attached to it, and everyone knows it as a Tim Burton product. If I'm being honest with you guys, I'm not the biggest fan of this movie. It has its audience. I totally get it. I'm honestly going to go coal in your stocking for The Nightmare Before Christmas. It's not a bad movie. It's just feels more Halloween. It's unsettling, and it's a movie that, for me, isn't something I really want to watch around the holiday season. Next, we have How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the knockoff version of How the Grinch Stole Christmas that stars Jim Carrey, a film that is damn near unwatchable in my eyes. I said it. I'm not crazy about this at all. I never have been. When I was under the age of 10 years old and this movie was on, I was losing interest because it takes such a simple story in The Grinch. It adds so many unnecessary scenes when the original is all you really need. For namesake, I'm putting How the Grinch Stole Christmas with Jim Carrey and I Wouldn't Touch You with a 39.5-foot pole because just like the song suggests, this movie reeks, and I never want anything to do with it. It causes a lot of arguments with my girlfriend Cam because she loves it and I hate it. So if it's ever on, I'm on my phone. I don't pay attention. But next we have The Actual Grinch, the 1960s animated classic that's going in It's the Most Wonderful. A Christmas staple. I try to watch this one every year, if not every other year or so. It is just the original. You can't top it when it comes to The Grinch. It is such a simple 20-minute story, and that's all The Grinch needs to be. You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch is an iconic jingle from this animated short. But also, just the story of who's down in Whoville and how they have themselves in community, and that's bigger than the gifts and the actual imagery of Christmas. It hits home, honestly. And by the end, when the Grinch's heart grew 3 sizes that day, you can't really top it. It's top tier Christmas in my opinion, but this is the only Grinch in my mind. As if the takes couldn't get any hotter. Next up, we have A Christmas Story. Many consider this to be the greatest Christmas movie of all time. It's beloved by so many. It's running on a constant 24-hour loop on Christmas Day on TBS. A lot of people love this. It's quotable, it's iconic, all this stuff. I'm here to say this is one of the worst Christmas movies of all time. In no way, shape, or form does this movie make me feel anything. It's irritating. And I understand it's supposed to portray the stress of the holidays and all this and blah, blah, blah. I don't care. I don't want to watch a Christmas movie that's going to stress me out and irritate the shit out of me. I would rather watch something like Elf or Home Alone that makes me laugh and feel emotions instead of something that bores me and makes me feel miserable when I watch it, just like the characters' lives are in this movie. I get it. It's got the iconic imagery. It's classic, blah, blah, blah. Don't care. It's not my thing. I wouldn't touch this movie with a 39.5-foot pole. I never want to watch it again. If it's on in the background, I will just walk out of the room or listen to other people talking and try to get my mind off it because this movie stinks. It stinks, and that's my opinion. It stinks. Whew. Next, we have White Christmas, a Christmas musical that really puts you in a feel-good mood when you watch it. I've only seen the movie once. I do own it on Blu-ray. I got it as a stocking stuffer one year, and I decided, why the hell not? I'll watch this movie. Ended up having a smile on my face and feeling good by the end of it. I'll go Holly Jolly with White Christmas. I think they do a really good job with the dance numbers. I want to rewatch this movie again soon just because I really dig it. It's just one of those like classic musicals with really admirable dance numbers that you should check out if you're a fan of like Singing in the Rain Jane, or any of those classic musicals, give this one a watch for sure. Next we have It's a Wonderful Life. Shout out Nathan Hale, this is his favorite movie of all time. It's a really great one, I'm not gonna lie. I've only seen the movie one time, I own the Blu-ray. I've been meaning to rewatch it every year, and each year I'm like, okay, I'm gonna rewatch It's a Wonderful Life this year, and then just everything gets hectic from the holidays, shopping, to Spider-Man No Way Home this year, kind of taking everything over for me. I just didn't get around to it this year, which is a bummer. I might have to watch it in the off season, which is kind of weird, but I think it would still be impactful. But I will try and get around to this one again next December. It's a fantastic movie about a man's life and his journey, and gaining a new appreciation for friends, family, and the simple things in life. While I have not seen the movie more than once, I would be doing myself and every single one of you watching this video a disservice if I did not put it in It's the Most Wonderful, because It's a Wonderful Life belongs in that category, I would say. It's a classic for a reason. Every time a bell rings, an angel gets its wings. It is a must watch at least once in your life, because it's a wonderful life. And if you want to have a wonderful life, you should watch It's a Wonderful Life at some point in your life. And last, but most certainly not least, is Die Hard. And yes, Die Hard's a Christmas movie, and if anyone wants to say it's not, let's get into it in the comments down below, because I'll go to town. This is a staple every December. I try and watch parts of it. Again, I watched about 30 minutes of it today. I think it's the best pure action movie of all time. It created a genre in and of itself. I actually have a ranking of these movies, so you should check it out, link up above. One of the most well-paced, unique action movies ever. And yes, it's a Christmas movie. It takes place at a Christmas party on Christmas Eve. The movie wouldn't happen if Christmas wasn't involved. What is there not to love? It's gotta go. It's the most wonderful. Arguably the best Christmas movie, to be honest with you guys. But seriously, there's no debate. Die Hard's a Christmas movie. It's a fact. But that's gonna do it for my tier ranking of every single Christmas movie I have seen. I could have accidentally left off one or two smaller Christmas movies I've seen at some point in my life. That's just how time and memory work sometimes. But if I did, I'll drop it in the comments down below. But thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to drop your ranking of your favorite Christmas movies down below. What's the best Christmas movie of all time? Is Die Hard a Christmas movie? These are the questions we have to answer on this Christmas day. But all jokes aside, I hope you guys have a wonderful Christmas and holiday season, whether you're with friends or family or whatever you're doing. I hope you guys are staying safe out there. I have a ton of videos planned for the rest of the year. I have 4 top 10 lists coming, a comic book movie ranking, a Boba Fett watch party, and Boba Fett spoiler review. I'll probably have a channel update at the beginning of 2022 addressing the channel and where I'm headed with it, but a lot of content's coming next year, so you're gonna want to hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss out on any of it. I've never been more excited and happy to make content than I am right now. I'm gonna bring that energy into the new year, so thank you guys again for watching, and Merry Christmas, you filthy animals, and a Happy New Year.